Hello and welcome to another episode of AWS Howdy Partner here on AWS On Air. Usually we're on Twitch, but for reInvent we've been taking over the AWS On Air channel here with partners. We're the only show for partners from the APN, right? So we each episode we've been highlighting a new partner, and today we're joined by Matthew from Commvault. I'm A.M. Grabelny. I'm a dev advocate here at AWS. I'm joined by one of my amazing and wonderful co-hosts, Claudine Morales. Claudine, do you want to introduce yourself to the audience, please?
Sure. Claudine Morales, Partner Solutions Architect. Happy to be here. Great to see you, AM, and even better to see you, Matthew. Welcome to the show.
Better to see Matthew. I get it. Love partners. I understand.
You know, partners get special treatment at Howdy Partner all the time. So
I'm more happy to see Matthew than myself as I'm looking into the view of myself now too. So Matthew, please save me from staring and looking at myself. Tell me a little bit about Commvault and tell me a bit about you.
Okay, Matt Erickson. I'm a senior product manager for Commvault. I look after AWS and also EKS or Kubernetes protection. I'm based in Melbourne, Australia, so that weird accent is Australian that you're hearing. If you can't understand, head over to our sponsor booth and you can have a chat to me there, and hopefully I can slow things down and explain them to you. But anyway, I work for Commvault, and we are a data protection or data management company. And what we do is we help protect, migrate, replicate, perform DR for your AWS services and beyond. Now, what does that really mean? It means if you tag it, we can snap it, share it, copy it to another region or another account, and ultimately allow you to recover from unplanned events. We do this across EC2, RDS, EKS, out onto your outposts and local zones. We support all the new alternatives to your traditional or relational databases. So RDS, Aurora, Redshift, Dynamo, Document, the list goes on and on. Basically, if you want to protect something and store it for recovery later, we're your partner for doing that.
That sounds amazing. And, data was a pretty big piece of Andy Jassy's keynote last week as well. So, we've got a lot to talk about from that. I'm excited to hear, some of your thoughts later on in the conversation around, all the keynotes that have happened so far, especially probably Andy's. I did have one question before we jump into it. I know Claudine's got a bunch of questions for you, but if I go to your sponsorship booth, as a person from a different geo than Australia, will you teach me Australian slang? Is that something that you could promise all our viewers?
Absolutely. and I'm actually on the booth most days in our demo room, so you can come and hear my dulcet tones on the demo booth, and I can give you a walkthrough of how Commvault works to protect your AWS services.
Okay, so not only do you get Commvault, but you also get some of the Australian slang. Just another incentive to go to that booth. All right, Claudine, get us back on track, please.
Well, I mean, the logical next question here is, will there be Vegemite involved? I have a soft spot in my heart for Vegemite, so I just have to ask. I love Vegemite.
Vegemite is fantastic, and I won't hear anything negative about Vegemite.
I seriously love it, so...
You are, I think you may be in the minority for my US colleagues.
I have
at
good
least.
Taste. I think I do have good taste, so that's the reason why. But Commvault is an advanced APN partner, and first of all, what does it mean to be an advanced APN partner?
I think for us, it means partnership, right? So I mean, we first added support for Amazon S3 cloud libraries back in 2009. And since then, we've been partnering together with Amazon engineering. I think we were one of the first to release Glacier and Deep Archive support. Most recently, we've been working together, funnily enough, since reInvent last year in 2019, we were on stage announcing both of us testing your EBS Direct APIs. And we've now delivered those, and they offer like an 85% performance improvement in performing backup of EBS volumes. And then most recently, we've been part of the APN, or the Outpost Service Ready program. So we amongst a number of vendors were validated for backup and recovery, migration, and even DR of workloads, on and between the outpost and the region.
Fantastic. Maybe we skipped a step here to AM, because I started talking about the APN, and I don't know if all of our viewers even know what the APN is. The AWS Partner Network. A community of partners from all over the world who build on top of AWS to enhance customer use of AWS. And we do have a lot of differentiation programs within the APN that we actually validate partner technology for. So you can't just be receiving some sort of designation without being validated. So you being an advanced partner, yes, like we understand you have been validated for certain things. AM.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Matthew?
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a whole list. But yeah, my favorite part about the APN, personally, working with the APN as much as I have, is if there's something I'm looking to do with AWS and I can't figure it out, or I can't get what I need working, I can almost guarantee you there's a partner in the APN that either can or has or is, right? And they have a solution or will help you build a solution to reach all of the things that you're trying to do. Commvault, I'm really excited to learn more about how it approaches data management. And in that same vein, right, we were talking through, or I was talking through Andy mentioning the explosion of data, right? Like just data is out of control in a lot of cases. It's just more and more and more and more. If you all have been operating with AWS since 2009, I'm sure you've seen a lot of things. But what would you tell a customer new to Commvault, or just a customer new to cloud, about what they should worry about with data management?
I think the obvious answer I'm going to give here is protect your data, but assuming you've got that nailed, right? You're protecting your critical workloads. Yeah, correct. But let's look. AWS has some great functionality that we had to wait for in the enterprise. Things like the ability to snap workloads and integrate the creation of a backup or a snapshot and replicating that to another region, for example. All of that can be done with the Amazon control plane today. What Commvault adds to that is kind of a single interface to manage that over the top. So assuming you're already using Commvault to protect your workloads and replicate them where you need them, there are some additional things that you're going to hit beyond that. And that we often hear from AWS that security is problem number one, or issue,
job zero.
Job zero. There you go. I knew I was going to get corrected if I got it wrong, which is great. So it absolutely is job zero, and it doesn't stop just at your production data. So what we're seeing now is with the abundance of ransomware and malware kicking around in the industry, whether that be out at your laptop or hitting your public internet-facing services, you need an answer to be able to detect ransomware and malware when it occurs. You need to be alerted and be able to respond. Ideally, you want to be able to automatically respond to that event. And most importantly, there really is only one protection from ransomware and malware, and that is a backup copy to recover from. And our customers use things like S3 Object Lock and air-gapped backups. So that's, creating copies of your data in disconnected areas of Amazon to ensure that they have a copy to recover from if and when that occurs. and this is quite common, right? We're seeing this via our customers, via our support desk, that customers don't get hit and they need to recover a laptop. They need to recover potentially hundreds of affected systems in parallel to bring their business back up. So that's probably number one. Number two is just governing your data after that. So you've now got data in multiple regions. You may still have some on-prem, on your outposts, even maybe out in local zones, as we're seeing that service expand as well. You need to be able to govern and manage that data for both cost and risk, but also for things like privacy. So where is your high-risk data, and are you treating it appropriately? And there's some of the challenges that our customers bring to us as all of these new data types emerge.
Great. Awesome. Well, I know we may have several viewers out there who are thinking, oh, we've seen plenty of backup offerings. What actually differentiates Commvault from all of these backup offerings that we see?
Yeah, I think so there's a number of things, but fundamentally what most of our customers tell us, it's that holistic data management for all of their locations. So it's no reality that most businesses are in some sort of a hybrid deployment pattern today. So they have some workloads that haven't yet moved off-prem into the cloud, and the introduction of GP2 and IO2 block express volumes is certainly going to enable more workloads to migrate into AWS. But what they're looking for is a single holistic view of all of their data. They want to define their policy once and then manage and monitor their business via dashboards and reporting and alerting, so that they can, ensure that they're recovery ready wherever their data is, and ensure that they can continue to optimize those environments over time for both cost, as in reducing storage where they can, or optimizing for effectively the value of the data. So one of the things that Commvault does is we protect services that commonly aren't protected by other tools. So a good example there is EKS. So we provide Kubernetes native or EKS native protection, regardless of whether that's in the region or on the outpost, or now on EKSD, which was announced during reInvent. And then we allow customers to take that data out of that service and store it for value. So they may store it on S3IA or even on Glacier or even on Deep Archive, based on their regulatory or compliance needs. And so we're giving them a way to recover with snapshots, but also giving them a way to store their data for additional uses at reduced cost.
Matt, you just mentioned GPT or GP2. I think you meant to say the GP3, right? Which was what was announced. It's hard to keep up at this point, right? There's a lot of announcements coming out, a lot of names, and they're all like 3 letters, right? So
Yes,
but
GP3. I think I must have been thinking IO2. So you've obviously got, we saw announcements for better GP2 pricing, right? And we already received improved performance and durability during the year. We got new performance announcements on GP3 and even bigger performance announcements on IO2 Block Express. So SAN in the cloud for those that haven't caught the keynote yet.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about what Commvault does with, kind of in line with what Andy was talking through, kind of this data sprawl or data, I've heard it called data fragmentation, things like that. Is there anything that Commvault can do to help, help manage that sprawl?
Yeah, I mean, effectively, we have accepted that you are now going to be in a whatever you want to call it, hybrid cloud, distributed computing, whatever term you want to use. Your data is no longer sitting in your your single owned and operated data center. So that's what Commvault brings to its customers. Commvault has a single pane of glass called Commvault Command Center, and that's a single sign-on integrated role-based access into your data, and it's going to allow you to effectively manage the protection of your data, both within its current location, but also getting it out to where it needs to be to protect you from disaster events, for example. And it helps lower that barrier of adoption. So Commvault Disaster Recovery, for example, will allow you to create a disaster recovery, runbook as code solution between your on-prem VMware environments and VMware Cloud on AWS. So again, making it easier to adopt and automate the control of your data across multiple locations.
I love that. Automate is the name of the game, right? Like the more you automate, the less there is a chance of somebody making a mistake.
I agree with that.
Decomplexify.
Correct. Yes. Matthew, you've mentioned EC2 multiple times today, and I'm just curious, how do you see AWS Compute Optimizer extension supporting EBS helping your customers?
Okay. Wow. Let me unpack that for a minute. For those that don't know Compute Optimizer, EC2 Compute Optimizer today helps customers effectively right-size their EC2 infrastructure, and we use EC2. So we protect EC2 infrastructure today, but we also use EC2 infrastructure to perform the data movement tasks between regions and accounts and so on. What was announced at reInvent was the ability to get performance information from EBS volumes and be able to right-size and respond to, additional performance needs at the storage layer. And we think this is huge, right? So you've got to remember we're at the heavy end of data management, right? So Andy talked about reusing data and enabling data to provide insight to the business. We help that occur by moving data where it needs to be, help transforming it into the format that it needs to be for the next generation of apps. And to do that, we need EBS bandwidth. And so I see a very bright future here where the Compute Optimizer or the EBS Optimizer insights are going to be able to feed into something like Systems Manager and auto-tune environments that are calling on more EBS bandwidth than they would normally. And this means when Commvault has peaking events like let's say, a massive recovery event for ransomware, or having to move a large amount of data for DR or for some sort of a business intelligence initiative, AWS and Commvault are going to be able to work together to auto-tune the environment to meet that outcome, and then tune back down when we're done. Just amazing, right?
Awesome. I have to switch to my sunglasses because the future is so bright. So
Wow.
Absolutely. It is going to be cool. I live for the day when I don't have to be tuning that sort of an outcome, right? And for customers that are still performing movement and still refactoring their applications between traditional lift and shift to containers to serverless, there's still a lot of data movement going on. So whatever we can do to make that easier, but also production grade and enterprise grade performance is going to help adoption.
If we had paid for the rights to that song, Claudine, we would have played that over your last switch there. We don't, so we'll remain frugal.
That's
we
quite
won't
okay.
play the song.
Yeah. I'll still keep my sunglasses on.
Yes, please do. You look very cool. I think I'm a little jealous of those. They're pretty cool sunglasses. Matt, I would be remiss if we didn't talk at all about reInvent announcements or things that have been happening around reInvent. I think we all love Andy's keynote. We get all kinds of nice things happening during Andy's keynotes normally, and we have a lot of really cool, nice things happening during this one. And then I think another one that might have been a little bit relevant to you all at Commvault was Doug's keynote last Thursday as well, with the partner side of reInvent. So yeah, I want to get perspectives on two things from you. One, from a personal standpoint, what are some of the things that just have you excited as a technologist coming out of these announcements? And two, as Commvault, right, as somebody who's working with and for Commvault, what do you see as exciting and things to explore with your product team as you go back?
Okay, so I absolutely need to mention that the music was fantastic uh, on Andy's kickoff, and I had to make sure that I kept the volume down because that keynote kicked off at 2 a.m. for me, so my family did not want to hear the soundtrack. But look, what excited me, I think EKSD and EKS and ECS Anywhere, I think are huge. I think that again, it's about lowering that barrier to adoption, letting customers get comfortable with EKS and ECS on prem as a bit of a taste to getting to that fully automated experience that the AWS control plane can offer them. And I think what I hear from a lot of our customers is, the moment you have one Kubernetes cluster, you turn around and you've got 10, right? And then you're having to lifecycle and manage versions and all of that on those. So I think EKSD is going to let people get comfortable with EKS as an initial jumping point or stepping stone onto the other services. And Commvault protects stateful and stateless EKS apps today, both in the region and on Outpost, and now on EKSD, which is huge. Other than that, I think Outposts, some of the Outposts announcement were huge as well. And again, you're seeing a theme here, right? It's about getting out to where the workloads are, getting out to where customers are having problems that we couldn't traditionally solve that we now have solutions for. So quite often when I talk to a customer about Outposts, it's great for 3 out of 5 of their sites, but then they have those 2 other sites that aren't quite as large as the others. And the fact that we have 1 and 2 RU Outpost deployments now is going to allow us to touch, all of those really unique corner cases, like, and I shouldn't even call them corner cases, telco, network function virtualization. They will love this, right? Getting small units of compute with performance and with high performance disk and networking out to their edge locations. MSPs, ISPs are the same, retail the same. These are all environments that do not have data centers, but absolutely have a compute need at the edge. And we can start effectively refactoring their applications, right? Moving them from traditional heavy, monolithic type apps into containerized deployments running on Outpost. And we can help protect them once. Not only can we help protect them, we can help migrate them if they've got those instances of those applications in the region today. We can help get them out to those new points of compute. And then finally, and this is a tie, right? Compute and storage announcements. So being an advanced APN storage partner, storage obviously is close to our heart, but storage is nothing without compute. And my goodness. So we had R5B instances, which give you 3x the EBS performance. So that's 3x the performance for us to move customers' data out to where they need it, right? So this means we can move data faster, which means that the amount of data that potentially gets lost in an unplanned event is dramatically reduced. obviously, we've discussed EBS multiple times here today. So we had GP2 cost, like tiered costing announced, but GP3 performance tuning and IO2 EBS block store, providing that production grade, SAN in the cloud type performance, is going to allow more of those mission critical apps to get into AWS. So this is another way of focusing on the applications at the edge that we haven't been able to move in. But then more importantly, with the C6GN instances, the ARM instances, we can start doing this at reduced cost. So we're just spoiled for choice here, right? Performance, reduced cost. Customers are going to go wild being able to effectively tick off more of those applications that they couldn't traditionally move.
Well, it sounds like you all have a lot of building to do, which is exciting. Claudine, I have to say you look very powerful right now. I'm getting a lot of power from you.
Thank you. I try.
This is a powerful move you've made with these sunglasses. Well, I think we are running short of time. So I want to start wrapping us up. First of all, Matt, thank you so much for coming on to Howdy Partner. It's been a blast having you. Claudine, I think you own Howdy Partner now. It is just now is yours. I have to relinquish it to you. You just look.
I actually don't agree with that. We're just really following your lead here. And I'm always grateful for the opportunity to host with you, AM. So thank you for having me here.
No, thank you, Claudine. I'm always happy to have you on board too. So, Matt, I'm going to tell people to go visit your virtual booth to number one, learn about Commvault, but number two, also learn about Australian slang. Is there anything else that you'd like to tell our viewers to go out and do and engage with with Commvault?
Feel free to catch me on the 17th, I believe it is, for our on-demand session, which you can catch at the booth now. So don't trust everything I said today. You can hear from both myself and Coca-Cola on how they use Commvault to manage their data in and across regions and across account and for DR today. So go and check that out as well and hit me with all the hard questions.
All right.
Well, I'd like to check that out. So I'll be there.
Okay.
I'll see you there. Thank you.
Don't forget your Coke.
I won't.
Thank you. Claudine, Matt, thank you. We got to run. Join us for the next Howdy Partner. We're on every Tuesday and Thursday at this time on AWS On Air. We'll see you then. Thanks for joining us.